Welcome back to Prison Architect. It's Folsom Prison here, and I'm your host, longtime listener. Be sure to drop a like, hit that subscribe button, and comment below. So here's where we left off. We've got lots going on here. 80 out of 104 inmates. Um, Everything seems to be running pretty smoothly right now, for the most part. Now there are a few challenges that we've run into that we've addressed as we've kind of gone. However, what I have been working on over the last several days, um, it. Well, we need water to get to that. I think it's. No, we don't have hot water going there. So we'll do that just because we can. But what I've been working on over the last several days is I know I talked about in a previous episode the idea of doing some tutorials. And so I've started working on those. Now, as like this dude's getting searched apparently. So what did he do to get into trouble? Anyway, I've started working on those tutorials, and as a part of that, I've been doing a little bit of research in terms of game mechanics, and some best practices and stuff like that. And I've learned of several flaws in our prison design. Um, for one thing, we don't have a staff room over on this side of the prison. We've got a huge one up here. But really what we should have is something that looks like, okay, so all of this, like up to here to where these tables are, should technically be staff room. But what we want the rest of this to be is technically a staff canteen. So we would go like that. Now it calls it a staff canteen. The reason it does that is because we've got it designated as staff only. Now, all of my staff are going to go here. Now, I've got 66 guards and then, a bunch of other folks as well. So to have a bunch of tables like this is probably a little bit overkill, but you do want to have plenty of room for your staff to eat. Now, the other thing that I've learned as far as how this works is that you don't even need a kitchen for your staff room. Those meals are shipped in on a truck and just basically served right to the serving tray or serving table in the staff rooms. So if you've got a staff canteen, like, wait, what happened to the, what in blazes? No, stop. So we had it staff only. So if you've got staff only canteens, it will bring meals in. So like down here, I could go like this. Ready? Staff canteen. Now, I guess we'll just go like that so that we don't have that error there. But bottom line, now we've got a staff room with a staff canteen inside it. This kitchen is completely unnecessary, as is that one. So we learned that. The other thing that I looked into is the mechanics on how cookers and fridges and sinks work. We've got too many cookers. Basically, I think we have just enough fridges for our needs, and we only need 3 sinks. So, like, I could cut the number of cookers in half. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's about enough fridges. You only need 1 bin, and you only need 3 sinks for each kitchen. So, like, we've got way too many cookers, too many sinks, and barely enough fridges. So we could benefit from redesigning our kitchen. Some other things that I've kind of looked into are the general idea. So I've always liked the idea of your prison facility being all indoors, so that it basically makes it kind of like it's harder for them to escape. However, if you have the yard outdoors, and if you have it to where if you've got windows in their cells where they can look out and see outdoors, that actually helps with the level of suppression. Okay, so I have 8 prisoners that are compliant right now. 8 out of 80. That's not good. We want that number to be a lot higher, because if they're suppressed and basically compliant, that means that they're not really looking to escape. So you'll have less issues with stuff like that. So there's that. I also learned a lot about how the mechanics of the Workshop works. Why do I? Oh, they're making superior beds. So it's good to have a bunch of logs that you can export, I suppose, but we've got way more furniture or forestry than we need to accommodate a workshop this size. So I've done some research about that. The other thing that's an issue is we've got the workshop way over here, right? The stuff that comes out of there goes to exports, which is way over here. So it's as far away as you can pretty much get. That's not good. The other thing, not the other, another thing that I learned is that you probably want to actually just have your psychiatrist and your psychiatrists, it's probably a good idea to just go ahead and have them close to your insane wing, because that limits the distance that those guys have to travel to get their psychiatric consultation. Also, since you've got a common room set up with chairs that are used for behavioral therapy, you should probably have your psychologist's office close to the common room so that they don't have to travel very far. I learned a lot about the mechanics of how laundry works. Um, let's see, what else? Um, oh, when your doctors take a break, when they are done, they go back to the closest infirmary to where they took their break, which means doctors aren't going to go here unless I basically tell them to. I'm not really sure why this one is here, because that's not how the mechanics are supposed to work, according to what I've seen. But there's that. So I've learned a ton about game mechanics just from doing research to set up my tutorials, which by now I think you might have already seen, like the introduction in a few episodes. We got an issue here. Somebody open the door. Who's in charge of this door? Oh my gosh, and I can't even open it. Sorry. Let me actually go back for a second to my phone here. And let's set a timer for, let's go here. I'm not necessarily concerned about time on this one, because I don't think this episode is going to be as long as usual. And you kind of might get where I'm going with this. Since we've learned a lot, and I mean a lot, about game mechanics, I think it makes sense to start over again. We can change the layout of the prison to where, man, everything kind of makes more sense. Plus, we can try and set it up where the yard opens up to the out. Actually, it is outdoors, and the cells have windows that actually also look outdoors. We'll probably have a much smaller forestry. Although what we might do is, what we're going to probably try and do is have the workshop on this side of the prison, with exports basically right off of that, and then a small forestry area off of the workshop, so that our prisoners can go out and actually work in forestry, and that everything that they need would be right there. It doesn't need to be a really big forestry area to support the workshop, because you only need, I think, let's see, each tree gives you 3 logs. Each log gives you, I believe, 4 wood planks, and I think you need 6 wood planks for a bed. So 1 tree would give you 12 wood planks, which would be good enough to make 2 superior beds. Now, superior beds aren't worth that much. A lot of what we're exporting, from what I have figured, is probably just straight up logs that we don't need, because we've got a ton of them. But we'll try and figure out the mechanics there and make that room a little bit more efficient. We'll probably also have more workshop presses pumping out the license plates that sell for a decent chunk of change as well. But bottom line is, our prison is going to be a lot more efficient. There is one potential flaw that I discovered with my design, which I'm going to show you right now. So we've got a mega prison design right here. Now, here's what we're working with. You'll have the same general entry area. Right off of that, here's a power station, water. We've got 4 offices here. There will be the warden, the chief, a lawyer, and an accountant. They're going to go there. Here's going to be an office with a psychiatrist. The reason is, if I'm going to have like one of these cell blocks be insane, we're going to have a psychiatrist there and then maybe another one there eventually. We don't need that right away, more than likely, but it's there if we need it. This is a shop that will feed into this canteen. Here's the kitchen for that canteen. This is a big staff room / staff canteen. This I have walled off thinking I would need it for storage, but I really don't. So let me actually go in here and go like that and go like, whoops, that. Now that little thing going around the outside is actually a perimeter wall. So even though the whole prison is still kind of closed off, we'll have a perimeter wall that needs to be far enough away from any of the interior walls that nobody can throw anything in there. So it'll be something like that right there. Okay, that's my perimeter wall. Anyway, staff room, offices, holding cell, reception, holding cell, and shower, just like before. Visitation. Okay, so we've covered and here's a yard. So we've covered basically this whole top section here. Then obviously we've got cells. Then we have another yard, another shop that looks into the canteen, storage up here. Here's the kitchen for this canteen, infirmary, and morgue. Now, I went and tested a build out of this to see if I had enough money to kind of get started with 500 grand. It's tight, but we can do it if we limit some of the stuff that we put into rooms like the common room, gymnasium, etc. But it's doable. Now, if you notice, I forgot to put an infirmary and a morgue over here. So we've only got this one. Now, this is a little bit bigger morgue than what I previously had. So what I could do is well, let's actually go like this. And let's say now, like, this is our morgue, but we only have room for like 4 slabs. But I still think that's enough, okay? If I do that, it gives me a little bit more room for hospital beds to where, maybe I can make this work. It's not ideal because the layout is still a little bit funky, but I could even have like hospital bed there and maybe even a hospital bed there. That's 8 hospital beds. It's not perfect, but that might be enough to support this entire facility. That's my hope. If I have to, I could shrink down this shop size and have a door going out here into another infirmary and morgue right there. Okay? So that's that. Ooh, got a notebook page. Water supply. Okay. While this is just sitting here, we might as well speed it up because we're making money. Okay? Now, so we've got all of that northern section covered, and that's our morgue and infirmary. Then we've got a long hallway here. I will close this off. Actually, let me draw that in there. So it'll be planning, wall. Inmates won't need to go down here. They might need to get into that kitchen, but they don't need to get down here because this is a staff room. Here is an office for my psychologist to then just go right there into the common room to do behavioral therapy. This is another power station down here. Then we've got, common room, gymnasium, chapel, library, laundry. This is way overkill for laundry, but it's just so I can have one straight wall across. That's fine. Classroom, mailroom, cleaning cupboard. Here's parole, kennel, armory. another storage. So we've got storage up there, storage down here. That's why we don't need the storage up there. There is security, and then we've got the workshop here, forestry right off of that. This little office is for the foreman who is going to manage the workshop. And then we've got a small area for exports. We can always just basically bust out this wall and expand that if we need to. This will be a fence to fence in forestry, and then this is the outer perimeter wall. If I really wanted to, I could also put forestry all the way. Actually, let's back this up just a wee bit. It's a little closer than I want it to that wall there. And so is this one. Anyway, I think it's basically 10 spaces that you want to have in between there. We're not quite that far, but this is a wall that prisoners aren't going to have access to this area. Now, hypothetically, somebody could throw something from here all the way into forestry, but it's going over a perimeter wall and over a fence. I'm not sure that that's doable, but we'll just have to keep an eye on it. So this will be a fence to keep them penned into this yard. The other thing that we will do is, so all of the areas in between, why is that wall there? All the areas in between the cells is outdoor. Yard and all of this is outdoor. So that basically they walk out their cells, they're outside. They can't go out this way from these cells. I will have that walled off. So the only downside to this design is that all of these inmates have to exit through one little door right here. These guys can exit from either side. There's no problem with that. So there might be a little bit of a traffic jam right here, but I think it's worth the outdoor design for the cells to have it that way. And again, the biggest flaw that I can see is that we don't have a second infirmary like over on this side, but there is some space here that we could do it. What I actually could do would be put the infirmary and morgue here, just a little one, and it could even extend like that and go right up against that outer perimeter wall maybe. It's not ideal though. I think I would rather just shrink the shop down a little bit and then have a wall here with a door entering into an infirmary and morgue that kind of goes like that. Some other things that we've learned we will implement as we start building, but a lot of it has to do with contraband. Like, I don't know that I had... Actually, let's go and look at it. Oh, so save it. And then load Folsom Prison. I don't know that I implemented this yet, but yeah, we don't have metal detectors in our infirmary. A lot of contraband comes out of there. We should also have a dog in there to sniff drugs and stuff if they're trying to snatch it and get it out of there. But they get needles, they get all kinds of scissors. They can actually get scissors and I believe a knife out of the morgue. So there's a lot of stuff that they can get out of the infirmary and the morgue area that you've got to try and stop. So another thing that we will do is put doors on the canteen. They're going to be jail doors, and we will lock them open. And there will also be, I'm trying to think, I want to have it, let's go back to our design. Basically, what we want to have is a way that if a riot breaks out in the yard, which is or canteen, those are two common places where riots tend to break out because there's a lot of people in there. If that happens, I want to be able to hit lockdown and every door in the prison instantly close and they're stuck where they are. Now, the challenge here is if I don't have doors in the yard, I hit lockdown, they can still get like down here, they can get into all these rooms because those are just regular doors that they don't need keys. to open. So that's a little bit of a challenge. But in this minimum security prison, I don't expect that to be an issue. But we will at least put jail doors going into the canteens so that if a riot breaks out in there, then like this will be a staff door. They could get into the shop, but they wouldn't be able to get into the kitchen because that will have a staff door. They wouldn't be able to get out this way because those will all lock by way of jail doors. This will be a staff door as well. So basically, they'll be kind of trapped in the canteen for the most part, canteen and shop. And then I can, hit lockdown. I can dispatch guards to that area and try and take care of that issue. So that's the general idea that we're going to try and implement. So we'll see how it goes. It's going to be tough. I'm not going to lie. This is like getting it started is going to be really tight money wise to where I will probably have to like finish some of these grants like hiring 2 guards and 2 cooks even before I open, to where then I'll be losing money, and that's a problem. You know what I mean? Because I'll be paying more than I'm making by way of the $2,000 a day that I'm getting for the grant. So bottom line is the money situation will be a little bit tight, and the build out process is a little bit messy because basically what I've got to do for foundations, and I'll go ahead and show this because then we'll just start from scratch again. Like I would have to go kind of like I need to think about which building I can start with as like a complete foundation, because remember, this yard is outdoors, all of these are outdoors. So like this would be its own little foundation, okay? And then I would just need to go like this and have a jail door right there, okay? So that would finish that one. But then I got to have a way to build something like this office for that psychiatrist. I'm not going to use yet. I will use it if we get to where we've got like a couple of these that are all insane inmates, to where I feel like it makes sense to have a second psychiatrist. This shop I will try and accommodate, but like since I'm not going to have that office, and this is kind of a weird layout, and that's so that I can have 3 rows of stuff deep right there. Basically I need to kind of just go like, I guess we'll go like that. How do we want to do this? Why don't we go, I can go all the way down here. Why don't we do that? Okay. Then I'll just fill in with walls. See, so like there's that. Then I would need to go something like that. And then I would need to go something like that. We'll build the perimeter wall that's basically only going to go like this. Wouldn't need to be, that wouldn't need to be there, because it'll just go all the way out like that. And then there's our perimeter wall. Now, same thing here, right? Boom. So that's essentially the general concept. And again, like we're going to have to kind of build it in sections. Like once this is all done, I would have to fix some of the walls going on there. And then we would go like, oops. Then it would be something like this. Then it would be something like that. Okay? That's all of our main structures. And you can see just the cost to start those, so you kind of have an idea of how tight things are going to get. Although this might not actually help address that. But okay, so there's all of the foundations we need. Then it'll be perimeter wall. This is expensive. Okay. So make sure you get the perimeter wall right the first time. Be like that. Boom. 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 And boom. Then we'll need fence there, there, there. Did I get that spot? And like that, okay? So just that much costs 200 grand. That's just to get, like, the guts built, okay? From there, it's going to get messy because then we got to start putting in walls, and some of the walls will need to come down whenever those expansions are finished or whatever. But you see the general layout. It's kind of a horseshoe-shaped, we'll call this like the administrative buildings and such. And then the cells are out there isolated with everything being outdoors. Now, it's going to make it harder to control temperature because I will have to put heaters actually in some of the cells. Like if I have it out here, it's not doing any good because it's outside. It's not helping the indoor block get warmed or whatever. It might a little bit, but not enough. I could hypothetically just put a heater like right down the middle, but I think that would impede traffic a little bit. Not necessarily sure we'll want to do that. So basically, like, these two cells will get a heater, and maybe these two cells will get a heater in each of those top blocks, and then something like the two in the middle, or maybe the two on the outsides get heaters in here. I'll have to figure it out because we've got solitary. But anyway, temperature might be a little bit of an issue, but I'm hoping, praying to the prison architect gods, that having this with this outdoor layout, or semi-outdoor layout, will improve the morale of prisoners to where they don't even think about escaping, or they don't think about escaping as much, and our prison runs a little bit more smoothly because we're not having to spend as much time doing shakedowns and tunnel searches. We're not losing money from prisoners escaping. We're not having prisoners get beat to death with a baton because they tried to escape and then they fought the prison guard, stuff like that. We'll see how it goes. The things that I will have to kind of keep an eye on are forestry and exports. Like, how much money is this workshop actually going to get me with just this little bit of forestry? Because what I don't know, compared to our other layout, is how much not having a ton of forestry is going to change our amount of exports. I'm hoping that having the workshop be a little bit more efficient in terms of what it needs to if I've got 5 carpenter tables in there, I think this amount of forestry will be enough. Another tip that I learned is when you're doing forestry, I don't have it, but basically, like, let's say this was our forestry. I can't even do it. I can do it with storage. You want to build, like, little blocks at a time. Wait till he plants a tree, and then do another block. Wait till he plants a tree, do another block. That way, they're not all done at the same time to where all of your workers are like, oh, there are trees to chop, and they rush down there, and they're working on that when you'd rather have them installing doors or whatever. So it's just something that somebody said is sort of a best practice. Probably not super critical, but it might help us at some point. So if we can remember to do it, we'll do it, and hopefully it will help us in some form or fashion. So I know that this is maybe a little bit of a short episode, but this is kind of setting the table for the groundwork to build this prison facility. And even though what I've done here could probably work, I want to make sure that, like, we build this foundation for, although what I'm going to actually do, okay, it auto-saved, which is fine. Right there, it auto-saved. Now, I'm going to let this play out for a little while because the way I've done this, it kind of looks like it's eliminating the wall that would have gone here. Same thing over here. Now, I need an entrance there, but we'll figure out entrances. But I wonder if the way that I just did that will actually make it so that those inner walls aren't there when they complete the foundation, because that's actually what it kind of looks like at the moment, which is awesome. But anyway, that'll do it for this episode. If you haven't done so already, please be sure to hit the like button. Actually, let me start over. apologies for those of you who are like, ugh, he's starting over again, but I think it'll be worth it. I could have, just let our other prison run for a while to get, a decent amount of cash and prison value. Like if I go here, let me show you. If I go down here to valuation, our prison is only worth 290,000 bucks. We would have to accrue basically another like 500,000 if you think about it, because it's not that I just want to start with 500,000 bucks. I want to start with 500,000. Actually, I would still have access to the grants. So like let's just say I do this. Boom, I sell. None of this matters. Let's just hit play. Okay? Boom, I just sold the bank. Now I've got a blank slate and I've got 320,000 bucks. Okay? Now, when I go in here to grants, I can start over with all of this stuff. So I would have needed to got it to where this number was like 500,000. Maybe wouldn't have taken too long, but I think this is a good idea to just go ahead and start from scratch. It doesn't really make any difference, and it saves me from having to sit there and monitor a prison for a while. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go back to, which one was it? This one? Oh, here's a snapshot. I did a test run just to kind of see if I would have enough money, and here's kind of what we ran into. As you can see, wait a minute. Why do I have 80? I must have not saved it right before I closed it down. Bottom line is I've got 85,000 bucks to work with. Our cash flow is a little bit of a concern because we've already hired some staff. We're running low on grants that we can use before we have to add more staff, and we still need to fill out common room. Although actually I've added some stuff already. Like I've got a gym mat in here and a weight bench. I put in some of the bare minimum stuff to finish those rooms, but like I probably overdid the common room or the staff room. I probably overdid some other rooms as well, to where when I go back and do, like, I don't need 8 visitation tables right away. There are some things that I can adjust with my strategy so that we don't run out of funds, because I got to where like I had everything that I needed for the dormitories, everything that I needed for all of the rooms, and I was down to like $200. And then I didn't have enough money to hire guards or cooks to get the grant money to then buy more of the people that I needed to put on staff. So we just need to be careful, but it's doable. So, like I said, we're gonna give this a run. I am going to, like I said, no, not that one. Was it my autosave? Please don't tell me that any of those other ones just auto-saved. Okay, we're going to just let this run in the background. Actually, I will add some doors first, and then I'm going to let it run and just kind of see how this works out. If this doesn't, or if I don't like the end result of how we laid out those foundations, then we can just kind of go over and do it piece by piece. But I think this will work. So, if you haven't, what is this? Why does it say pass room requirement? What is that exclamation point for out there? Whatever. Anyway, if you haven't done so already, please be sure to hit the like button. Wait, didn't I have the perimeter wall on the plans? Like, what happened to that, guys? Or did I already build those? I already built them. That's why they're not showing up. Dirt. All right. So we're going to let this go for a little while. It should get us to where, hopefully in the next episode, we'll start with our foundation built for the most part. That way you don't have to just sit there and watch my workers run around like little ants. But if you haven't done so already, please be sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, comment below, and we will see y'all next time.